All right, gentlemen, we're going to call to order our first hearing of the evening. This is the application of James F. and Diane M. Holland. It's dated April 30th, 2014. I'm going to summarize the ad rather than read it verbatim. The Hollands are seeking a variance from the terms of Section 6C1 of the bylaw. They want to build a 5-foot 5-inch by 10-foot 5-inch one-story addition with a 4-foot by 5.5 feet attached landing to the left side of their residence, which is located at 54 Windsor Road in Milton, and that residence is located in a residential C district. The addition is proposed to be set back 8.3 feet from the left side lot line rather than the 10 feet required under Section 61 of the bylaw. My name is John Leonard. I'm Chairman of the Board of Appeals. With me tonight to my immediate left is Board Member Stephen Lundbohm, and to my immediate right is Board Member Ted Daber. The rules of the board are such that we'll hear from the applicant, we'll hear from people who have questions of the applicant, we'll hear from people who wish to speak in support of the application, and we'll hear from people, if any, who want to speak in opposition to this application. I just summarized the advertisement. We'll also have as evidence at the hearing, so we don't have to start marking things. The application, it's dated April 30th, 2014. We have a March 13, 2014 denial letter by our local building inspector, Jay Bolio, setting forth the sideline violation. We have a building permit application that's signed by Mr. Holland. It's dated February 25, 2014. We have a plot plan of land that is prepared by Curley and Hanson Surveyors of Avon, Massachusetts. It shows the subject property on the lot, the proposed mudroom addition and the proposed landing, and the 8.3 feet variation. And we also have a mini set of building plans by Skyline Studios of Braintree, Massachusetts. And it's in 3 sheets showing the proposed demolition plan, a first floor plan, and a draft roof section plan. So we'll have all of those plans as evidence at the hearing. We're tape recording the proceedings tonight, which is the official record of the board, so that we'd ask that before anyone speaks, tell us your name and address. Speak up nice and clear and loud so we'll have an accurate record of this hearing in the event that the board has to revert to the tape recording in order to prepare a decision. So who's going to be making the presentation on behalf of, are you Mr. Holland? I am. Good, welcome to the board. Come on up here. Make yourself comfortable. Mr. Holland, why don't we take that microphone that's over to your right and throw that right in front of you. I'm not sure that little thing is a microphone. I hope it is, but I don't know. So welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Why don't you tell us your name, where you live, and tell us about your applications.
Okay, my name is James Holland. I live at 54 Windsor Road in Milton. And my application is to put, as you mentioned, a mudroom addition on the side of the house. We have one entrance on the front of the house, and then this is the other entrance on the side of the house on the driveway side. To make the addition large enough, we wanted to have it 5.5 feet wide. And so what that does is, because of the shape of the lot is a little bit pie-shaped and not square, and because of the siting of the house on the lot, which is over to that left side, putting this addition on would run into the setback by about 1.75 feet. So it's going to narrow the driveway a little bit and impede onto the setback. And that's basically it.
All righty. Let me ask you if the drawings, conceptual plans, I guess they are, from Skyline Studios, whether they fairly and accurately represent the proposed addition?
Yes, they do.
And so if the board saw fit to allow the decision, allow the variance application, we would put in the decision that the addition would have to be in substantial conformity with these plans, and would tie these plans in.
Yes, sir, that would be fine.
Okay, great. Let me ask you, before I ask you anything, Let me just indicate that the applicant has given us a letter prior to the hearing, which I'll summarize. It's from Nora and Greg Thill, 48 Windsor Road, Milton, Massachusetts. And is it fair to,
So they are the abutters on the driveway side, the side that the addition will be
the
on.
side most affected?
Correct.
Okay. Dear Board of Appeals, we've received your notice. We live next door to Diane and Jim, and are on the side of the house where they propose to expand their existing driveway into a mudroom. We have reviewed the plans they have for this construction, and we have no problems with them. The proposed addition is small and will be in keeping with the architecture of their home and the other neighborhood homes. The fact that a corner of the addition would encroach 1.5 to 2 feet into the 10-foot setback required by the code will not impact us, and we have no concern for this. Signed, Greg and Nora Thill. So we certainly thank the Thills for taking the time to write to the board. Let me ask you, Mr. Holland, did you have an opportunity to show your plans to any of your other neighbors, even though they may be less affected by the Thills?
On the other side of the house, Dr. Colleen Feltmate, we showed it to her, and she didn't have any problem either. The neighbors directly across the street.
I'm sorry, would you just give me a second? I can't write as fast
Sure.
as you can speak. What's the address of the neighbors to the right of your dwelling?
I believe it's 64 Windsor.
I've got my chart here, just bear with me. Sure, at 64 Windsor, and that property is owned by Colleen M. Feltmate, Feltmate.
Correct.
Okay. And she assents to your variance application?
Correct.
Okay, and whom else did you have a chance to show the plans to?
Across the street, the Maylee Lowe and Martin Sheeran. I don't believe that's on the plan here. They're across the street. They're on the corner of Longwood. I'm not sure their exact address.
Yeah, and I don't have them, so they're not within the
Oh, they weren't within
the
the, okay.
technicalities of, well, maybe they do. Hold on one second, there's another. Yes, they are. What are their names again, sir?
Maylee Lowe and Martin Sheeran.
Sure. They're at 5 Longwood, and it's listed on the assessor's records as Mary Lee Lowe, L-O-W,
Okay.
and Martin I. Sheeran, S-H-E-E-R-I-N. And what did they say about your application?
They didn't have a problem either. They were fine with it. They would have a view of it, I guess, from their home.
Okay, great. Do you have anything further to add in support of your application?
Nope, that would be it.
Okay. Let me see if my colleagues have any questions. Mr. David, do you have any questions of Mr. Holland?
I don't. I think everything's been explained well, and I think you asked the questions I was going to ask.
Okay, well, I apologize for short-stopping you. Mr. Lundbaum?
No, I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. If you have nothing to add, let's see if there's anybody present this evening who wishes to speak in support of Mr. Holland's application for variance. Okay, there's no such person present. Is there anybody present who has any questions about this application for variance, or who wishes to speak in opposition to this variance application? Thundering silence. So if you have nothing else to add, and it's usually a good strategy to quit while you're ahead.
While you're ahead.
What we'll do is we'll end the evidence portion of this hearing.
Okay?
And under the so-called open meeting law, we're obliged to discuss your application in open session and to vote on your application. And we intend to do that here and now.
Okay, great.
Mr. Deva, please.
I'm inclined to vote in favor of the application. I think it's the addition makes a lot of sense. It's really not much of a, it doesn't stray too much into the setback. 1 foot and 1 3/4 feet, as I understand it. So I think the variance or the violation is de minimis, and all of the affected neighbors seem to have been in support of it, and I think that, as I said, I support the application.
Great. Mr. Lundbaum, please.
I agree with my colleague, Mr. Daber. A very well-presented application, Mr. Holland. It's really not a big addition, and the fact that you produced a letter from the most affected abutter is very helpful to us. So I would tend to vote in favor of the application as well.
Okay, well, I also support the application. I think it's been well presented. You did your homework, you talked to the people most affected. But the lot does have some unusual features to it. It's not dramatically unusual, but like anything else in Milton these days, with existing dwellings, if you want to change anything, you almost always need a special permit or a variance. And
Right.
where everyone supports the application and there's no harm to any abutting neighbor. We tend to be more lenient in granting variances than in some of our more contested, nasty hearings. So I think that the Thills certainly have written to the board. Not only, sometimes they just speak to the applicants, they tell them we agree, but they took the time and effort to write to the board, and likewise the neighbors across the street also at least indicated their support for the application. So I intend to vote for the application as well. So what we usually do when we prepare these decisions, we usually put in there that the improvements shown will be in substantial conformity to the plans that you've submitted. So just hearken to the fact that if you're going to make a change in those plans, that you speak to Mr. Prondak first and you get his blessing, so to speak, that the deviation is in substantial conformity to what you've submitted to the Board of Appeals, because if you just do it on your own and you go out there, you may need a demolition crew, or
Right.
we don't want to see that to happen. And we also put a condition in these variances that the addition is going to be in the same color scheme as the house. It's not
Correct,
going to
yes.
be, some aberrant color. So with all of that, all those in favor of granting Mr. and Mrs. Holland's application for variance?
Aye.
Aye. Well, congratulations on your variance. They tell you three things. Number one, we prepare these, just like Mary here prepares her cookies from scratch, we prepare these decisions from scratch. We don't do cut and paste jobs. So it usually takes us 10 to 14 days to get the decision signed by all of the board members. It's got to be filed with our town clerk. Even though nobody has opposed your application for variance, there's a 20-day appeal period that has to pass before you can get your building permit from Mr. Prondak. You can certainly talk with Mr. Prondak in advance, or here, in this case, it was Jay Bolio. And you can certainly do some demolition work, and you can do some prep work and that type of thing, and just be clear with them what you want to do prior to getting your building permit.
Okay.
And we leave that to their discretion. Once you get your written decision in final form, make sure that you record the decision in the Registry of Deeds, because you want to make sure that your variance application is legally effective. Because if you don't record it, it's not going to be effective, and you're going to find out 5 years from today when you want to sell the house, and we hope you don't, that somebody's going to say, well, how did that mudroom get here? Because it's not shown on anything. So you want to be sure to deal with that. Mr. Prondak and Mary can help you as to what the filing fees are and where you file. It's at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, but it's not a very technical process, but it's important that you do record the variance once you receive it. So congratulations on your variance, and thank you for coming tonight.
Great, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Great.
Welcome.
Dun, dun, dun. Sure, come on up and make yourselves comfortable. We've got 1 minute before we can start your hearing. You bet.
No,
Big smile, huh?
Well, it's on TV, you should be smiling.
Yeah.
You all set, Teddy?
Yes.
All set, John.
You all set to
Yeah.
to start the hearing? Okay. We're going to call to order our second hearing of the evening. This is a 7:30 hearing. It's 7:31, so we're doing well here. And let me summarize the application rather than read all the legal mumbo jumbo. This is the application of Ron Fletcher, and is that Frank or France?
Yeah, short for Francis, it's Frank.
It's Frank, okay, because I thought Frank Graham was the builder here.
Hopefully not.
Well, I don't know. It depends. Are you the builder? No, you're not the builder either. Okay, so you're both safe. The applicants here filed an application dated May 19th, 2014, and they seek a variance from the Town of Milton bylaws. They want to build a 21 by 29.5 one-story addition, including a full basement, and a 16-foot deep open deck at the rear of their existing family residence, which is at 287 Reedsdale Road in Milton, and that property is in a residential C district. The proposed addition is set back 8 feet 2 inches from the left side lot line rather than 10 feet as required under section 6C1. This sounds like the application we just had, so except we're changing the names and the location of the property. You're not using Mr. Holland's plans here, are you?
If you'd
No.
like us to, we would.
Well, they're here if you want them. My name is John Leonard, and I'll be acting as chairman of the board for this particular hearing. With us tonight, to my immediate right is board member Ted Daber. To my immediate left is board member Stephen Lundbaum. The rules of the board are such we'll hear from the applicants first, and then we'll hear from anybody who has questions of the applicants. People want to speak in support of the application. People want to speak in opposition to the application, if any. We're tape recording the proceedings tonight, so make sure you tell us your name and address, and speak up nice and clear and loud in the event that we have to revert to the tape recording in order to decide this case. In addition to the advertisement, which I've summarized, we'll have in evidence at this particular hearing the May 18th, 2014 application for the variance. We have the denial letter from Mr. Prondak. It's dated 5/15, 2014, some 3 days before your application. That always seems a little bit unusual, but that's the way it is, I guess. We also have a series of plans showing the property. We have a plot plan from Hoyt Land Surveying of Weymouth, Massachusetts. It's dated April 25th, 2014, and it shows the subject property and the various deviations of the property of the proposal to the sideline. And this particular plot plan shows the unusual shape of your property, which is 52 feet wide and 300 feet long, somewhat like a bowling alley, I suppose. So I don't know where you put any type of addition to this particular house without getting some type of relief. And we have a series of sketches, I'll call them, rather than building plans. They're by R&D Architects. It looks like it's April 18th. It must be 2014, but it's cut off on the plans we have here. And it's in A1, A2, and A3, showing the proposed first floor plan, a proposed finished basement plan, and a right side elevation plan. So, and we also have some other plans from R&D. This is A4. Maybe there's an A5 there, it's hard to tell. I don't think so. No, it's just A4. And this shows the rear elevation of the proposed improvement. So we thank the applicants for submitting all of these plans, and let me welcome you to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you.
Who's going to be making the presentation?
I'm happy to.
All righty. We're happy to have you. Go ahead, fire away.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you want Dean back in here?
No.
He's just getting a drink of water, we come here a lot, so he knows what it is.
Well, you're welcome to come to the Board of Appeals hearings. Sometimes we lack for participation here, but
So I'm
you're-
Frank Graham,
Okay.
homeowner with Ron Fletcher, and 287 Reedsdale Road in Milton. And what else?
And who's with you tonight?
This
He's
husband, Ron.
temporarily in the bullpen, but he'll be back.
This is Dean Fletcher, my son.
Dean, okay.
Yeah.
How old is Dean?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about your proposed plans and why the board should allow the variance application?
Well, because like you said, our property is so long and narrow, there's not a whole lot of room unless we're to go higher. And we're working with a bit of a limited budget. If we didn't get the variance, we would have had to bump it in so far that we would also have to renovate our kitchen, which we don't really have the budget for. And also probably go higher again, which is sort of out of reach. That was really the main reason.
Okay,
Yeah, this is
what
a-
improvements are you putting in here?
Oh.
What the proposed addition
So,
consists of?
yeah, we'll have an extra bedroom, extra bathroom. As you can see, we're 900 square feet with a 6-year-old, so.
As it presently exists?
As
there
it
are
presently
900 square
exists,
feet.
This
Yeah.
is supposedly a old trolley waiting station for Route 28.
Really?
It's
Isn't
a
it- so-
perfect square,
so
30 by
This is a
30.
historic structure, you can't do anything with it?
That
is
there,
that-
yeah, I should not have mentioned that. But,
No, it's not, no, I checked that, there's no restrictions,
Oh,
historic.
I'm sure, I'm just
But,
kidding.
Yeah.
but
This is smaller than some of the condominiums in New York.
I think
it
so, yeah,
really
this has
is
been
getting smaller and smaller.
every
So
day.
that's the main reason.
Yeah.
And then we'd have room for a living room and dining room in the back, and then downstairs another bedroom and a bath.
Okay, do you want to tell us about the so-called, is it the deep deck, or what is a deep deck?
I didn't know it was called a deep deck. Oh.
No, deep, that's what I'm saying, and
a
the act says a 16-foot deep open deck.
No,
You mean
16 feet deep
Rather than,
Oh, I'm sorry, 16 feet
Yeah.
deep.
deck.
Oh, so the depth of the deck
Yeah.
is 16 foot.
I think that's what it
Why
probably-
did we write the ad this way? It's inscrutable. I
And
thought this was
so-
some type of an exotic a deck that was somehow underground or something.
oh, give us any ideas. So.
But you'd have to come back to the board if you're going to
Well,
change
we
the
will.
plans. You don't want to do that.
But that, and I'll just point
So
out.
it's a 16-foot deck.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'll probably be not as deep as that in the end, but because I talked to Joe about it, he said you can really get the variance for a certain size, and you can always go a little smaller if you need to. So because we probably will design the shape a little bit once we've got our structure there.
Go larger.
I can't, I'd be back here, right?
Well, as long as you keep the dimensions, you get plenty of room in the back. It's just a sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could go back 50 feet if you wanted to, I think, but maybe not. Ted's looking at me here and like I'm
The
losing my
previous
mind.
owner wanted to knock down the house and rebuild it
And
in the
rebuild,
woods.
yeah.
That didn't fly, and that's when we bought the
Do you have
property.
any photographs of the house?
From
Oh,
years
right
back?
now?
Oh, I don't know, just to show us
Yeah.
what the house
Yeah, I
is.
can
No,
look. I might.
do you have that old one?
I'll look. I can look while you're.
Well, that's okay. Let me ask you this, is the proposed addition going to be in substantial conformity with the plans that you filed?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And the color scheme is going to be substantially the same, and it's not going to look like you chopped the end of your house off and built something.
No.
No.
Okay. And the deck is going to be you're going to have a railing around the deck? It's going to be enclosed? It's going to be, is it going to be on the ground, or is it going to be a couple of feet up above
It's going to
ground?
be
or-
up, it's going to be elevated, yeah.
Okay, and how high is it going to be elevated?
Well, probably not quite to the level of the first floor, so a little bit
So
lower.
you can just step right out
So,
on the
yes, exactly.
deck? Okay, and what material are you going to make the deck out of? Is it going to be one of these
I think solid wood, I'm hoping.
fiber, or?
I don't
It might
think
be
s-
something synthetic, but
We don't.
appearing like wood.
Okay, you haven't chosen that yet.
Yeah, we
No.
haven't.
Right. Let me see if my colleagues have any questions.
And
Mr.
I
Lund?
don't know if you
Yeah.
want any of this
Well,
neighbor.
we
I-
did,
Oh, sure, did you talk to your neighbors? That's
Yeah,
always
and-
a
we
good
we
thing,
have
isn't it?
3 documents here, 2 from our immediate neighbors,
On the left and right?
left and right. In fact, the neighbor to our, and does this work like stage right or stage, if you're to our right? if
Well,
you're looking out at
as you're
Blaisdell.
standing in the street looking at your house,
The neighbor-
left and right.
Okay, the neighbor to my right in that case, William O'Carroll.
No,
He,
to your left.
if I'm standing
If
in
you're
the,
looking at.
If you're looking at the house
Oh,
on
looking
the
at the-
street.
all right,
That's the
sorry.
way I look at it.
to the left, all right.
So the-
William O'Carroll, he required a similar variance when he built his addition, and we were in favor of that, and he was kind enough to return that favor and write a note on our behalf.
Okay, great. Is
And-
his lot like yours, 52
Yeah.
feet wide?
Yeah, all these lots are
It's a
fairly
little, I
similar.
think his might be a little wider, but.
Okay, well, let me just summarize this one. William and Marsha O'Carroll, O''Carrol, 291 Reedsdale. They express their full support for the Fletchers' addition to their home. They've looked at the plans. They hope they're granted permission to build as soon as possible. They face the same addition restriction. Apparently, they got a variance, so they must be happy.
Yep.
And they would like the board to extend the same privileges to Mr. and Mrs. Graham. So we thank the O'Carrolls, and you have a couple of other letters there for us?
Not only a letter, we actually have the Dailies in person,
Oh, wow.
kind enough to appear, and
Okay.
they expressed their support as well.
Okay, so this is short and sweet. It's Michael and Wendy Daly of 281 Reedsdale Road support the application, but we're delighted to hear from them. Their letter is June 17th, 2014.
And then we went beyond our immediate neighbors to those who have a view of our property, essentially, and they expressed their approval of our plan as well.
Great.
So,
Why don't we, thank you. Oh, great. So we have a June 17th petition that is signed by 7
abutting.
abutters of people who may have interest in the application. William and Marsha O'Carroll, well, we already have them. Mike and Wendy Daly, okay. David O'Donnell and Caroline T. Bourbon of 295 Reedsdale Road. Walter and Tara O'Leary of 303 Reedsdale Road. David and Jessica Heaton, Heaton, of 15 Martin Road. Chip and Maureen LeBlanc of 31 Martin Road. And Evan and Emily Innes, who sometimes appears before the Board of Appeals, 300 Reedsdale Road. So we thank Evan and Emily for their assent. Do you have anything else you'd like to add in support of your application? Okay, let me see if my colleagues have any questions. Mr. Deba?
Yes. From the plot plan, it also appears that this addition is no closer to the sideline than the existing house. Is that correct?
That's-
It's
Pretty
gonna
much
bump
goes
in.
straight back. It bumps in.
It
So it's a
actually-
little bit further from the,
It bumps in, I think, 10 inches from
Okay.
the existing, so, yeah.
okay, so it's no closer, though, than...
No, it's further.
Than the existing house. Okay. That's my only question.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I don't have any questions of the applicants. Let's see if there's anybody present this evening who has any questions of the applicant. No such person present. Is there anyone present who wants to speak in support of the application? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you've got to come up here, and you're on TV, so you've got to come up here and smile.
Oh, you are? Oh my God.
There you are, you can turn around and take a look at yourself.
Oh, lovely.
So why don't you introduce yourself to the town of Milton?
Okay. Wendy Kinsman Daly, 281 Reedsdale Road, Milton.
Great. Thank you for coming tonight. What do you have to say?
We, if you're facing Frank and Ron's house, we are the neighbors immediately to the right, and we hope that it's approved because they really need the addition, and we don't want them to move because they're our bestest buds.
Okay, and they probably can have some pretty nice parties out on that deck. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate your cameo appearance. Is there anybody else who wants to speak in support of this variance application? Do you want to be heard, Dean?
What?
Do you want to be heard in support of Mom and Dad's application for variance?
I don't know, more space.
Sure, won't this would be a cool addition, don't you think?
Yeah.
It'd be a really needed improvement. Okay, that's great. We'll record you as in support of the application. Is there anybody out there who wishes to speak in opposition to this variance application? Okay, and there's nobody there, so like we did in the first hearing, we'll close the evidence unless you have something further to add. Okay, and we'll discuss your application in open session and vote on it here and now. Mr. Lundborn.
Thank you, Mr. Linden. I will gladly vote in favor of the application. Very, very well presented, and it's very helpful, again, when we get petitions and we get letters from the neighbors, because that's a major concern when you're dealing with this statute. Having kids myself and having done additions, I'm always aware of the need for more room. And I like the hockey closet. That looks like that's going to be fun.
You're going to be coming before the board for a variance?
I may
for the
be.
hockey
I may be
closet?
soon enough. But it's a beautiful plan, and I noticed, Mr. David did, that you're actually reducing the incursion on the pre-existing setback. So that works well, and it works with the lot, the very unusual shaped lot. So, as I said, I'll be voting in favor, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Abel.
I'm also inclined to vote in favor of the application. It was very, very well presented. It makes a lot of sense. You can certainly see the need for the additional space, and also the fact that it's a very unusually shaped lot, and it's the only thing you can do to really enlarge the house. There's really no other way to do it. As you said, it can go up. And the support of the neighbors is very important, and appreciate you getting as many signatures as you have in support of it, and I tend to vote in favor of it.
Okay, well, I agree with my colleagues. The remarkable thing that I see about this property is it's amazingly challenged when you, I don't know whether you're going to watch the Red Sox tonight, but they're out in Seattle, and the distance between home plate and that pitcher's mound is 60 feet, 6 inches. And if you're ever up at bat and you've got a 6'4" pitcher up there, it looks like he's going to throw the ball about 4 feet in front of the plate. This lot is only 52 feet wide, so it's less distance than the pitcher's mound or the rubber to home plate. And so really, any type of improvement, it has to go wider, or it has to go further back, so that your house is going to be like a bowling alley, and that's not conducive to good living. So I think if I've seen a lot that requires, that meets the elements of a variance with unusual site conditions, it's this particular lot. I think your application was very well presented. You did your homework just like Mr. Holland did on his application, and so I think this is almost a necessary addition. I intend to vote for it as well. So, as I indicated to Mr. and Mrs. Holland, we're going to put a provision in the variance that the addition is going to be in substantial conformity with the plans that you've submitted. So make sure you stick with those plans, and if you're going to vary them in the slightest, talk to Mr. Prondak before you do that. And we'll also put in some usual language that the color scheme is going to be consistent with the existing residence. Okay? So all those in favor of Mr. and Mrs. Graham's application for a variance?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, congratulations on your variance. You heard what I told the Holland, so I don't think I have to repeat it. Takes us a couple of weeks to prepare a decision. There's a 20-day appeal period after that before you can start to build. You may be able to do some demo work or some prep work beforehand. Check with Joe Prondak, the building commissioner, on that. And make sure you record your variance once you get it. Record it in the registry of deeds, and Mr. Prondak and Mary can help you with that.
Okay, great.
So congratulations on your variance.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It sounds like a great addition.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mary.
Says here's a cookie.
Take that, John, if you need
You
it.
want to go? You sure?
Yeah, that's fine, come back.
What happened to the first one?
Someone's gonna get stuck with two of them, so
All right.
Okay, thank you.
get it over with now. They seem easy enough, so.
Would you like one of Mary's cookies?
The cookies, but I just ate my dinner.
Yeah, I just ate,
And a
but thank
cupcake.
you.
Okay, it's always good form to eat one of Mary's cookies.
I did.
I leave that,
We
I
just
leave
had
that
last
to
day of
you.
school cupcakes at home before we came here.
Okay, if you're all set, Ted, you're all set?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to call to order our third hearing of the evening. This is, I'll summarize the advertisement rather than read it. This is the application of Sarah Taylor and Nancy McCune. It's dated May 27, 2014, and they're seeking to build an addition to the rear and right side of their single-family residence, which is located at 24 Ferncroft Road in Milton. The property's in a Residence C district. The plans by the registered architect show that the addition that's proposed is L-shaped, and one of the sheets of the plans indicates that the first floor of your home is approximately 5 foot 8 inches above average grade, and one of the stranger position, I guess, provisions of our bylaw, because we have almost every night we have one of these. Section 5A1 requires that new buildings and portions of new buildings be limited to 2.5 stories in a residential district. But if the first floor of the home is more than 4 feet above average grade, that your basement is considered a first floor, even though it's not built out, or maybe yours is. So that would make this a 3-story dwelling in violation of the bylaw. So the applicants are seeking relief from Section 6A1 of the bylaw. My name is John Leonard, and I'll be acting as chairman for this particular hearing. With me tonight, to my immediate left is board member Steve Lundbohm, and to my immediate left is, my immediate right is board member Ted Daber. The rules of the board are such that we'll hear from the applicants, we'll hear from people who have questions of you, we'll hear from people who want to speak in support of the application, and we'll listen to any person who wants to speak in opposition to the application, if any. We're tape recording the proceedings tonight, so that we'd ask that before anyone speaks, tell us your name and address, speak up nice and clear and loud so that we'll have an accurate transcription of the, at least accurate record of the proceedings if we have to revert to the record to prepare a decision. I'll summarize the advertisement. We have as evidence at the hearing the May 7th, 2014 application. We have an April 23rd, 2014 denial letter by Mr. Joseph Prondak, our building inspector, talking about the first floor being above 4 feet above the average grade, and that puts you into trouble. We have a survey plan that's prepared by Linwood Surveying and Mapping Company of Weymouth, Massachusetts. The plan is June 9th, 2009. Is this when you bought the property?
Yes.
Okay. And it shows the subject property and the proposed addition and proposed improvements. We also have a series of building plans, at least conceptual, they're not stamped. They're from Roche Christopher Architects. They're dated March 27, 2014. They have the name J. Driscoll on them. Do you know why?
Yes, that's me. I'm Jason Driscoll. I live at 24 Front.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Sarah Taylor. Sarah and her mother own the home.
Oh, well,
That's why.
okay, that's fine. I thought you would purchase the house recently and you bought Mr. Driscoll's improvement plans.
No.
Okay, so you can explain that to us. We have plans in multiple sheets, and I'm not going to go through all of the various sheets, but they show the existing conditions, the proposed elevations, the proposed plans, views from every angle of the property known to man. And so they make the application much easier to understand, and you can see readily what the improvement is going to look like by reviewing the plan. So with all of that as a fancy preamble, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us about your application and why the board should favorably entertain your application for a variance?
Okay, I'm Sarah Taylor, 24 Ferncroft Road of Milton. What, do you want me to talk? Sure. We would like to kind of not change the existing character of the house. I think if you look from it from the front, it's not going to look that much different, but it will give us a lot more living space on the first floor and then the second floor. We'd like to have a bedroom be able to put on the first floor so that we don't always have to go up and down the stairs to go to the.
What's the area of the first floor as it presently exists?
You'll be better at this stuff than I will.
This is Jason Driscoll again at 24 Ferncroft. The current square footage of the first floor is, I would say roughly about 1,000 square feet as currently stated.
Okay, so another relatively small residence.
It is.
It is,
It is.
yeah,
And
for
we've,
kids
since we originally bought the house, we've had one child. We have had one with us prior, and we had a new one since we bought the house.
Oh, you have
So
two children
we
living
do.
in the house?
So we're currently,
And what are their ages?
Emma is 12 and Colt is 9 months.
10 months.
10
He
months.
just turned
10
10 months.
And I'm sorry, the second child's name is?
Colt,
Oh,
C-O-L-T.
C-O-L-T. Okay. 10 months.
10 months.
Great. And the improvement is a proposed sunroom?
Is a proposed bedroom on the first floor
Yep.
with a full bath and a reconfiguration of the bedrooms on the second floor, adding square footage to each room.
They're small.
And
Yeah,
how many bedrooms are on that second floor?
3. And we're going to maintain,
Wow.
we're going to maintain 3. So we're going to gain 1 bedroom in the house, but making each bedroom on the second floor
Bigger.
larger, more livable.
What approximate size are the bedrooms now? You don't have to go through the
10 by
details, but
10?
they-
10 by
10
10
by
and really
10.
small closets.
10 by 10, actually, there's one that's 9 by 12, it's rather
like
long,
long, yeah,
and a
that's what
short one that's about 10 by 9, and they all have small closets.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many additional square feet are you going to be able to add with the improvement?
6 foot? About
So the
200.
second floor would be, okay, the second floor would be 200, that's my father, Joe
Joseph
Driscoll.
Driscoll.
He's going to be the
Yeah.
builder, so.
He's our builder, yeah.
Lucky.
Very,
Yes.
very good builder,
Hopefully.
yes, which is nice.
So it'll be approximately 200 square feet on the second floor and approximately 400 square feet on the first floor. And the intention is also not to build outside the existing footprint of the
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
which
Kinda
is,
squaring it off.
Good. Did you have an opportunity to discuss your plans with the neighbors?
absolutely,
yeah.
showed both the butters.
Okay,
To my left and
who's on
right.
the left?
our
Facing the house to the left is the
Sullivans.
The Sullivans.
Yeah.
Sullivans, yeah.
and to the right are the Bennetts. And they
What are the
both,
Bennett's names?
Paula and Mike.
Paula and Mike.
And
We also talked to our neighbors to the front as well.
Yep, the Joiners, and then the other, I can't think of her name right now, and then the O'Toole's
Yep,
further up.
Mike O'Toole.
Everyone that can see our house,
Oh,
basically.
you talked to her.
Yep, and we did have neighbors come around.
Yeah, that got a letter.
Got a
Yeah.
letter, and we came and explained and showed them the plans, and everyone that we spoke to seemed like we had a good plan in place, and we're happy with what we presented to them.
Okay, great. How about the Sullivans? They're the neighbors most affected by this. What did they
The
have to
Bennett
say?
seemed, on the affected side of the home.
Yeah, Bennett's are on the side that they would see it.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I've got them mixed up. The
Oh, sorry.
Bennett, I have the
When
Sullivans
we
on
said to
the...
the left, we were talking,
So-
looking at the house, and you meant looking away from the
Okay,
house.
so the most affected neighbor is
Are
the
the Bennetts.
Bennetts.
Yes.
Correct.
We're going to say they're on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Sullivans are on the right. And so what did the Bennetts have to say?
They're happy.
They are happy with any improvements we can make to the
Okay, so
home.
they support your
They do.
application.
Absolutely. Everyone that we
Just saw
spoke
them before
to,
we came over, actually, yeah.
and even the Sullivans, they were happy with any improvements we would make.
Okay, great. Just like in the first couple of hearings, is it true that the improvements that you intend to construct are in substantial conformity with the plans here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There are no subsequent changes, so you don't intend to make any
No,
changes?
no intentions.
And the improvements are going to be consistent with the color scheme and the architecture?
Yes,
of the
that's very important to us, actually.
Yeah.
residents?
like the
And
way
here
it
we have another lot that's not as long, it's not 300 feet long like
Right.
at the last application, but this lot also is only 50 feet wide.
Right.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add in support of your application?
Other than the fact that this will really make allow us to have the opportunity to have the living space we need without having to move.
Yeah.
We love the town, we love the school system, we love everything about the reasons why we bought the house initially, and to stay in the neighborhood and just kind of set down our roots where we started would be really important to us.
Yeah.
You remember at the last hearing, I don't know whether you were here or outside in the hall.
Just standing outside.
But with the Grahams, their lot was similarly shaped, but it wasn't as, it was much longer than yours. Do you know whether the board in the last 5 or 10 years has granted similar relief from the side yard setbacks to neighbors in this?
I do
neighborhood?
not know.
You went out and hired a fancy lawyer.
Yes.
The lawyer probably would have done that type of search and would have pointed out that variance here, variance there, variance here, because even with a small dwelling that you have, you really can't do much with it without getting some type of variance.
Correct.
Okay. Let me see if Mike, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing at this time.
Let's see if my colleagues have any questions. Mr. Deva, do you have any questions of Sarah Taylor and
Jason?
Jason?
Yes, I was trying to figure this out before. So the new roof, where it's going up on the addition, is that any higher than the existing roof?
No, we're maintaining the existing roof line.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry if you said that.
Nope.
If you
Nope.
did, I
didn't.
missed it.
Nope, we
Okay,
didn't.
so it's no higher than what is
Nope.
already there.
We're going
I
to
think I
match the
forgot
roof.
to ask that question. That's why you didn't have the...
Boy, Ted asked.
We're matching left and right, just for consistency purposes, we're matching left and right and up and down.
Okay. Not sure that I have any other questions other than what's already been
Okay,
asked.
well, if you think of one, you
Okay, I will.
certainly, don't be bashful.
I did want to mention, at the beginning, you mentioned these plans aren't stamped. We did submit a stamped set of plans
To the building
to the
commissioner.
building inspector initially, just so you knew we did have that done.
That's fine. and,
Okay, I didn't know if that
It's
mattered
it's
or
not
not.
unusual for people to submit plans without there being stamped.
Okay.
And the stamped plans are probably more technical than
Okay,
we need. We're more lawyers
Conceptual.
than we are contractors or
Okay.
engineers. Mr. Lundbaum, do you have any questions?
Do you intend on re-roofing the whole of the house or just the addition with the new shingles?
the roof is relatively new when we bought the house, so we'll match,
Patch it up?
right? Yes, that's our intention, right? Yes.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Let me, Did you
You're
think-
going to ask?
No,
Okay.
no.
And I think you said this, but I just want to confirm it. You're not going outside the existing footprint of the house?
Correct.
Just kind of squaring off two sides. Yeah.
All right.
Right. That's something I remember Mr. Driscoll saying.
Right. I thought I did. I just want to make sure.
No, I think that's an important consideration. Let's see if there's any person present tonight who wishes to speak in support of this application, or if there's anybody present who has any questions of the applicants. Okay, there's no such person present. Let's see if there's anybody present who wishes to speak in opposition to the application for variance. And again, there's no such person present, so unless you have anything further to add,
Nothing at this time.
we'll close the evidence portion of the hearing, and under the open meeting law, we're obliged to discuss your application in open session and to vote on it. We plan to do that here and now. So, Mr. Stephen Lundbohm, please.
Mr. Chairman, another very well-presented application. I like the plan. It really looks like it'll work well, especially with what you're dealing with. I know Ferncroft well. I think I know the house well.
Did you walk your dog near this house?
The dog and I strolled down there. And again, we really appreciate when you talk to the neighbors. It's
Oh, yeah.
very important to do that when dealing with this law. And again, makes our job easier. And as I said, the plan looks very tasteful, and I would tend to vote in favor, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Mr. Daba, please.
I agree with everything that my colleague, Mr. Lundbohm, said, and very well presented. Looks like a very good plan, and I intend to vote in favor.
Okay, well, I agree with my colleagues. This particular addition is obviously practically necessary for the size of your growing family. It's a reasonable addition to the house. It doesn't further infringe on the lot line, and all of the neighbors agree that this variance application has merit, and there's nobody that opposes it. In fact, they all speak in favor of it. So, and here we have, just like in the last application, we have a 50-foot lot that you really can't do a lot with without getting variance relief. And we don't have a plan of the neighborhood. Sometimes fancy lawyers would go to the assessor's office and they'd get a plan of the neighborhood, and it'd show you all the 50 square foot or the 50-foot frontage lots and show how tight the neighborhood is. But I assume that the neighborhood is consistent with this type of
It is.
development.
Yeah.
So my guess is we probably have 5 variances in our files for neighbors in this type of in this type of predicament. So I think this application does have merit, and I'm going to vote in favor of the application for variance. And we also have this. This is a quirky part of our bylaw, with the first floor being more than 4 feet above average grade, and you have people going out and doing measurements from all areas. And I suppose it has some merit in specific instances, but in most of the time, there's no effect on, in my view, no effect on the type of relief you're requesting here. So all those in favor of the variance, if we haven't voted it,
Aye.
just like we told the folks at the first 2 hearings, we have to prepare a decision. It takes us a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It has to be signed up, filed with the clerk of the town of Milton. Even though nobody has spoken in opposition to your application, there's still a 20-day appeal period before you can pull your building permit. If your builder wants to do some prep work or demo work or whatever, just make sure you clear that with Mr. Prondak before it's done, so everyone is happy. And when your variance actually issues, make sure you get a certified copy of the variance and file it with the Registry of Deeds, so that the variance is legally effective. And Mr. Prondak or Mrs. Fitzgerald here is certainly in a position to help you there and telling you what the filing fees are and where you file and all of that.
Great.
So, congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
new
Thank you very
addition.
much.
Thank
Hope
you.
you have a lot of
Helpful.
luck
Thank you.
there.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah.
You too.
Have a good night.
Can we take that?
Sure. Thank you.
if I sit with you? Yes.
Stephen, you all set to
I'm all
to
set.
go? Ted?
Yes, sir.
Folks all set?
All set.
Okay, great. We're going to call to order our fourth hearing of the evening and our last hearing of the evening. This is the applicant. I'm going to summarize the application, summarize the advertisement, which I guess is also a summary of the application. This is the application of Christian Clint. The application is dated May 27, 2014, and the applicant seeks a variance from the terms of Section 5A1 and 6C1 of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicant seeks to build a 12 by 34-foot shed dormer addition to the rear of the existing single-family residence at 55 Franklin Street in Milton. This property is located in a Residence C district. We have a plot plan by Michael Antonino, who files a lot of plot plans with the Board of Appeals. And it shows that the proposed dormer is to be built at a distance of 3 feet 7 inches from the right side property line, when Section 6C1 requires a setback of 10 foot from the property lines. And we have the same issue in this application as we did in the last one. Our bylaw, Section 5A1, limits structures to 2.5 stories in height, but the basement is considered a story when the first floor is more than 4 feet above the average grade of the residence. Here, the plans show that the first floor of the existing residence is 5.1 feet above average grade, therefore making the basement, whether finished or unfinished, a floor or a story. Therefore, the proposed improvement here would make this a 3-story building in violation of the bylaw. My name is John Leonard. I'll be acting as chairman for this particular hearing. With me this evening to my immediate right is board member Ted Daber, and to my immediate left is board member Stephen Lundbaum. The rules of the board are such that we'll hear from the applicant, we'll hear from people who have questions of the applicant or any consultant of the applicants. We'll hear from people who speak in support of the application, and we'll hear from anybody present, if any, who wishes to speak in opposition to the application. I've summarized the advertisement. We have the application for the variances. The application is dated May 27, 2014. We have a letter from our building commissioner, Joseph Prondak. It's dated May 23, 2014. Describing the relief as set forth in the advertisement. We have the previously mentioned plot plan from Antonino Land Surveyors of Stoughton, Massachusetts. There must be a date on the plot. There it is. The date is written so big I missed it. Usually the date is scrawny. It's May 4th, 2014, and it shows the addition plan for 55 Franklin Street. Thank you, Mr. Daber. And we have a series of proposed plans. These are prepared by JSG Architecture and Interior Designers of Milton. Sure. Squantum Street in Milton. I think you've been before us before.
I have.
Your face looks,
A few times, yeah.
looks very familiar. And the drawing here shows, it's entitled Single Family Residence. It's sheet number 2, and it shows the floor plans, the exterior elevations, the existing and proposed alterations. And so we'll have that plan as evidence at the hearing. So Without further ado, welcome to the Board of Appeals. Who's going to make the presentation this evening?
I'll speak.
I should just tell you, like I did everyone else, we're tape recording the hearing, so just tell us your name and address before you speak, so we'll have a nice record of it.
Sure. My name is Chris Clint of 21 Pillen Road in Milton. I'm here tonight with my wife Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Also Joe Genduso, who did the plans.
Why don't you tell us about your proposed plans?
Yeah, so we bought this house a few months back. We live at 21 Pillen Road. We've been in Milton since 1991, and we're kind of at the stage of downsizing. So our plan is to...
Too young to be downsizing.
We are.
Well, we are, but we...
Son went off to college this year.
We need to pay for the college too. That's part of the plan, you know.
That's always an issue, isn't it?
Yeah. So so we bought this small little bungalow, and essentially what we're trying to do is to put 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on the second floor without changing the footprint of the home and without changing the height of the roof line. But in order to get any living space up there, we would have to bump out a shed dormer
Out the back.
out the back, and leaving the front as is.
So your improvement is to put 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on that second floor?
Right.
And tell us about the existing residence, if you would, please. What's the approximate
Square footage is small.
square footage?
It's really small. It's, what is it, Joe?
Under
My
1,000.
name is Joe Genduso. I'm the architect.
Joe, would you spell your last name so it...
Genduso.
Genduso. Great.
Firm is JSG Architecture, and I'm at 93 Squantum Street here in Milton. I prepared these plans. And to answer your question, the current square footage of the first floor is 992 square feet, based on my own measurements. And the upper floor, which is an unfinished attic right now, has very little headroom. So if we were to calculate the headroom area, I'd say probably 200 square feet or less of space where you can actually walk up there.
Yep.
So that the intent is to simply raise the height in order to provide headroom for these 2 bedrooms and bath without raising the highest point of the roof. So the shed dormer I felt was appropriate to the style of the house, arts and crafts, and by keeping it within the general footprint and height, it keeps the scale of the bungalow, I think, intact, as opposed to adding any kind of new addition off the back, which would then just increase the mass and make it a little bit more than what I think it should be as far as the style of the home. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you did. You went beyond the question, but all of it was very helpful. And I take it from Mr. Antonino's survey plan, the deviation off of that right side lot line
Pre-existing.
it's pre-existing.
Yes, it is.
It presently is 3.7 feet, and you're not seeking to further intrude on that.
No, we'd be building the dormer on the existing sidewall and rear wall lines.
And
Maximize the space and to also work with the existing structure.
Okay, and you're going to intend to construct the improvements as reflected on the JSG plan?
Yes.
Substantial conformity with that? And you intend to finish it off with similar coloring and architecture as the existing
Absolutely.
residence?
If I have
Yes.
anything to do with it, yes.
Okay, great. We're running a record here. We've got a third lot that's 50 feet wide. Let me ask you whether you've had the opportunity to speak to any of your neighbors.
We have not. We're not living there. I did not canvass the name. I did
He
not.
mows the lawn, but hasn't seen anyone. I
Yeah,
guess when
yeah.
we're there, they're not there. And
Yeah, I have not spoke to any of the neighbors.
Let me see if my colleagues have any questions. Mr. David, do you have any questions?
take it, the color scheme and the construction is consistent. I apologize if you already said this, but consistent with the existing house, the proposed addition.
It will be.
Color and,
Window size, the muntins in the windows, all of that will coordinate.
That's all very important to me,
With,
so.
so are there, in the neighborhood, and I can't tell from here, there are houses on either side
Yes.
of you, and then there would be houses across the street as well. How about in back?
There is a house in the back.
Far away.
Actually, the backyard is pretty nice. It actually goes back quite a distance, and then there's a fence, and there is a house on the other side.
And the houses right around us, they were all added up. They're taller than us, you know.
Yeah, I would say most of the homes in that area, since I do a lot of work in my own neighborhood, there are 3 bedrooms, and I'm doing a lot of additions where they're actually adding a 4th bedroom to accommodate families.
This is like the lone
This is a
holdout.
1-bedroom right now. yeah.
It is a
We're
one-bedroom.
like it's a 1-bedroom house on 1 floor with, amongst a lot of houses that are 2nd stories and have obviously been added onto. We're like the lone holdout.
Downsizing is a good thing, but this is ridiculous.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
I don't have any more for the time being.
Thank you.
I had a question, same one I had on the prior application. Are we going to re-roof the whole house or just go with the dormer?
Whole house will
The
be
whole house
reroofed.
will be removed, yeah.
The rear abutter, you mentioned there's a fence there. Is there any screening, trees or anything?
There are some, there's 3 or 4 pretty
Fence and
large
trees.
Leland cypress trees back there that are, at the very end of the property.
In an outbuilding of some sort, like
Yeah, they
there's
have like
tool
a,
shed or
they have a shed on
something
their
like
side of the
At
property.
the end, it's very, yeah.
I don't have photos.
Oh, yeah.
I just have one question. I just want to make sure that I fully understand this. You've actually acquired this residence.
Yes,
You've
we-
taken title to this. right?
Yes, we have.
You don't have a purchase and sale agreement subject to an option on getting a variance
Nope.
or anything like
No,
that?
we're all in.
We own it, we're all in,
Well,
we're moving.
you've courageous people, let me
Yes.
say. Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, so let's see if there's anybody out there who has any questions or wishes to speak in support of the application. Is there anyone out there present this evening who has any questions of the Clints or Mr. Genduso, or wishes to speak in support of this application? Okay, so the record indicates there's no such person present. Is there anybody present this evening who wishes to speak in opposition to this application or has questions? You have a question? Sure. Why don't you come on up here? See, we're on TV tonight, so unfortunately,
My mom just wants to.
you can make a cameo appearance. Why don't you sit here? No, hold on. Just stay with me, please. I'm going to get the microphone so people out in TV land can understand every word that you're going to say. Tell us what your name is.
Hi, my name is Shelby. So we're.
I'm sorry, please.
Shelby
Shelby, what's your last name?
Poon.
Can you spell that for me?
Poon.
Sure, and where do you live?
49 Franklin Street.
Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you. It feels nice to be here.
Well, we hope to see you again sometime. You can drop back and see us.
Well, I'm not sure what that means, but thank you.
We'd like to have new people before the board.
All right. So my mother would just like to ask about the staircase on the side. There's not going to be any addition or removal of it. It's just going to
go away.
There
Right
won't be a
now,
staircase
there won't be
on
a
that
staircase there.
Oh.
It's
Gonna be taken away.
Oh, because you guys are going to have a new staircase in the back.
going to the backyard, yes.
That will
That
be
doesn't,
removed.
that doesn't make any sense, it goes to nowhere, So
Okay.
that's gonna go away,
Because, okay, that's the only question we
make
have.
yeah.
All right. Thank you. All done. That was the only
Well,
question.
thank you, and that wasn't too painful.
No, it wasn't.
And you made your first appearance on public TV.
Thank you.
I cut the lawn today.
Oh, yeah.
Will you, like in the future, get, like fans or something?
Yeah, maybe, we'll talk, yeah, on the property
Yeah.
line, yeah.
Because, before that, the neighbor
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a little conversation before.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he likes to tan something up there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's see if there's anybody else who wishes to be recorded in support of the application. And you do? Do you wish to be recorded in? No problem. Okay, so, okay, that's fine. And just for the sake of the record, what is your mother's name?
Okay. Denise?
Okay. Good, thank you for coming tonight, we appreciate it. Is there anybody out there who wishes to speak in support of this application? And there's no other such person. Is there anybody out there who wishes to speak in opposition to this application for variance? And there's no such person present. So what we'll do is I'll ask you whether you have anything else you'd like to add. Okay, so we'll end the evidence portion of this application, and under the open meeting law, we're required to consider your application in open session and to vote on it, and we intend to do that here and now. So, Mr. Daber, I think you're up.
I guess I'd like to hear from my colleagues. I have a little bit of concern about the absence of feedback from more neighbors on either side, which we usually like to have in situations like this, be it positive or negative. And we do have the Poons on your one side, but nothing to indicate support from other neighbors. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, Mr. Lundberg,
Thank you, Mr.
do
Chairman.
you have any thoughts on that?
Just-
Plus other thoughts that you
Sure,
may have as well.
my mind is full of thoughts, but as to the application, very informative, very detailed plans. I know Franklin Street very well, and I think I know this particular house, and I agree with Mr. Genduso that this is one of the smaller, very smaller houses over there, and I think that if we look through the files, we'd see that we've done a lot of work. I know we have. I know I've sat on other variance cases on Franklin. And again, I'm somebody who's in tune with a family to, the need for space. I think that I would tend to vote in favor based on what we have, but I think as the chairman will probably advise, and in response to what Mr. Davis said, normally we do have input by way of letters or petitions from the abutters. So we may very well vote in favor of this application, but we may end up with a situation during the appeal period that you may hear from an abutter one way or the other. But other than that, I think on the merits, I would tend to vote in favor.
Well, I think the application technically was well presented. I think Mr. Genduso has done his very best to make the house reasonably livable, because with one bedroom and 900 square feet, it's like living in like a micro unit, and I think the applicants were somewhat courageous in actually taking title to this property without having variance in hand, because you could be stuck with a one-bedroom, 900 square foot unit. But good fortune has come your way, I think. I agree with Mr. Lundbaum. I bet we've sat on 5 to 10 applications in this particular neighborhood, which is a tight neighborhood. And it always impressed me as being a nice, very nice neighborhood, but where there's a full and frank discussion of variance applications. This application seeks not to further infringe on the lot line. Certainly the plan shows something that's very, very tasteful. The applicant is obviously seeking to downsize because of college considerations and the cost of college. I won't go into that, but We read about that every day. And so I suppose if you went out and you hired a fancy lawyer, the lawyer would have run around and forced himself on the neighbors. But that's what good lawyers do. And probably would have come in with some plans of the neighborhood showing all the lots, or at least a lot of them are 50-foot lots, and would have done a survey of Board of Appeals variances for the last 10 years and marked in color all the variances that the board has given, because I think we have given a lot of variances on this, in this neighborhood, and this is our third consecutive hearing with a 50-foot wide lot. But that having been said, certainly Mr. Clint has told us that he has he's been mowing the lawn, you've taken care of the property, you haven't been hiding, you're not running away from people. I understand Mr. Daba's comment, what people normally do, and it's good practice to talk to your neighbors and even seek them out, even though they don't seek you out. But you don't have to have coffee klatches and muffin meetings. There's nothing like that in the general laws. The application was published; it was duly published, and people have the obligation to read the ads. And I see nothing here that indicates to me in the slightest way that the applicant has sought to avoid his neighbors, and I think probably far from it. So would it have been better to talk to your neighbors? Yes, but you didn't. So your neighbors have an obligation to read the ads, to be on notice, and to take action. And I don't think it's fair to hold it against the applicant, absent some indication that this is an owner in hiding, trying to pull a fast one on his neighbors, and I see no indication of that. That we punish the applicant. If anyone gets punished, it's the people who don't appear at the hearing and object to the variance application if they think they have objections. And so objectively, the way I look at this is that people in the neighborhood, they know that this has been filed, and they haven't come to the board. They haven't contacted Mr. Clint or haven't spoken to Mr. Prondak, presumably. We don't see any evidence of that. And the only neighbor who was somewhat concerned, Mrs. Boone, came tonight and your questions were answered. And that's not unusual. We've had many times when people come to the board, they're working all day and night and they don't have a chance to talk to people, and they come to the hearing and they say, geez, I'd like to look at that plan. Could you answer this question? Could the fence be lower? Could the deck be higher or lower? And those issues are worked out. And so I see no reason to punish Mr. Clint. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's complied with the law, and nobody's objected. So I intend to vote in support of this application as well. Now, Mr. Dabo, would you like to be?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to imply that you were hiding from neighbors. The chairman trying to make me feel badly for him.
No, I should suggest, if there's a finer real estate lawyer in Milton who practices in Quincy, it's Mr. Daba. It's that area of expertise. Go ahead, Ted.
No, I didn't mean to imply that.
And you didn't. You didn't imply that.
Or to be critical, really, because, you as Attorney Leonard pointed out, you weren't represented by a lawyer. It's just the standard, as you may or may not know, for granting a variance is very, very strict and almost impossible in some situations, and therefore it is helpful to have the feedback and the support as the Poons gave you tonight. That being said, I also failed to say, and which was also true, it's very well presented. There is a lot of need. It is an unusually narrow lot, and as was pointed out, you want to downsize, but this would be an extreme without this addition. So that being said, and without elaborating any further, my inclination would be to vote in favor of it as well.
Okay, well, I hope you fulfill your inclination. We'll find out here and now. All those in favor of granting the application as applied for, please say aye.
Aye.
As we told everyone else, we prepare the decision, a couple of weeks, 20-day appeal period, so that somebody who didn't appear tonight could still file an appeal. And you'll speak to Mr. Prondak about if you need some pre-construction work, and he's our guidance on that. Record the variance. Mr. Gianduso can help you there, or Mr. Prondak, or somebody can. So congratulations on your variance and on your exciting new home that you'll be able to enjoy once Mr. Gianduso and your builder gets to build the project. I should have asked you, what school is your son going to?
University of Alabama,
Ooh.
of all places. I have no idea. We don't know where it came from.
Well, that's a simple answer to that. Your son must be 6'5" and 285 pounds.
Not really, but he likes the whole big school thing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But we really are empty nesters. August 19th last year, he was off the property. He's been home for 21 days since, so he's,
You want him to go back as soon as possible?
I do. We'd get along great, 1,500 miles away.
Well, you'll have a great time visiting down there. That's supposed to be a
It is fun.
wonderful
He loves
social
it. It's the whole
school.
big school thing. He absolutely adores it. He wanted the South, he wanted the warm weather, he wanted a big school experience, and he's getting it in spades. He loves it. So.
Well, and you may end up going to a national title game one of these
Yeah.
years.
Could be, yeah.
So congratulations on your son's acceptance, and congratulations on your variance.
Thank you very much.
With all of that, there's nothing more before us, so we'll adjourn.